G'day Dark Realmers, it's horror author and illustrator Michael J. Elliott here with you again, and today in the Dark Realm Diaries we're going to be taking a look at movie cliches back then and now. So let's get started. Okay Dark Realmers, now one way that movie cliches have changed is due to technology. That's right. Now, for some of you young whippersnappers, there was a time in the dim, dark past before there were cell phones. Yes, there were no cell phones. I know you'll find that hard to believe, but I was there. I know. And because of that, Hollywood always used phone boxes and telephones, and they've become part of Hollywood staples. Now, they have become great tools for drama, for tension, and of course for communication. Now, I don't know how many of you have seen the movie Dial M for Murder, but the telephone is actually a character in that, where the wife can overhear, her husband planning murder, and so forth, and so that became a great dramatic sort of icon. And who can forget when we used to see in the old black and white movies a reporter phoning in with the big headlines, And when you think about it, even back in the early 80s, mobile phones weren't terribly common then, and the ones that were around were like the size of a house brick. Okay, and they weren't very portable. So Hollywood has always had a tradition of a hero or heroine running into a phone box to call for help because they're being chased by a psychopath or a monster, or just something nasty is after them. Now, there's always two types of cliche that happens with those Dark Realmers. Either they don't have the money, okay, for their phone call, or they call the operator and sorry, I can't help you, I can't put you through, you need to deposit 25 cents or a dime or whatever it happens to be. Or of course there's always this problem. Now, that's not a modern phenomenon in Hollywood by any means, Dark Realmers. No doubt you've seen those old black and white movies where they pick up the old chunky hand phone and the usually heroine is flicking on the cradle handset. Hello? Hello? Is anybody there? Please, please, is anybody there? Well, you can see how that would at first be very dramatic and very frightening. But the trouble with scenes like that, Dark Realmers, is it's a bit like The Boy Who Cried Wolf. If you keep doing it over and over again, it loses its momentum and it does become a cliche. And unfortunately, that's what happened, particularly in the 70s, with scenes where phone boxes were used quite a bit, particularly where you've got the hero in some of the action films and so forth, running through the streets of a major city like New York or Chicago, desperately trying to find a phone box or get people out the way so he can get somewhere to make a phone call. And of course, what happens is, as we saw from those images, it's always the first phone box that they find, it's not working. Or, of course, they do find a working phone and they've got no money. Surprisingly, all throughout the rest of the film, money hasn't been an issue, but as soon as they need change for that phone, no, sorry, don't have it. And that's where the operator, please deposit another 10 cents, please, always happens to come in. And that's why the old phone box has become a bit of a cliche in Hollywood movies. Now, of course, we don't see that now, or very rarely do we see it, because we have the good old cell phone. And that in itself has brought along another lot of cliches that we'll look at. The good old smartphone. In many ways it's improved our lives beyond measure. In some ways it's been a sort of a curse too, with people with their heads constantly down checking their phone and their email and so forth. But in the main it's freed us up. We no longer have to look for a phone box, have the right change and everything like that. So you'd think that'd be great. Hollywood would have embraced that, but no, actually it makes it a bit more difficult for scriptwriters when cell phones first made their appearance. Of course, they're in every movie now, not just when you see a businessman or a businesswoman using their cell phone, but the majority of teenage films or films where the main protagonists are all teenagers, you will never see them without their cell phone. And of course in horror films, this made it a bit tricky, because if you could call for help whenever you wanted to, just by using your cell phone, where's the danger? Where's the thrill? Okay, you might be being chased by Jason Voorhees, but while you're running, you can ring 911, or here in Australia, 000. But of course, Hollywood soon got around that, and what happened was, well, we had the situation where teenagers would go away to a deserted house or a campsite far, far away. And what happened? Yep, you guessed it. No cell phone reception. Or, yes, dead battery. Now, okay, you can understand this in a few cases, but in every horror film, it's like, hello. Didn't anyone of that group of teenagers, particularly the nerdy character, remember there's always a nerdy character who thinks, you know, really the straight and narrow and sort of objectively, don't you think someone would have said, hey, do we know if we can get cell phone reception up there? Where's the nearest cell phone tower? Should we check on that first? What if there's an emergency? But of course that doesn't happen. And so, well, unfortunately, Dark Realmers, the cell phone in itself has become a bit of a cliche. Okay, Dark Realmers, well, that's just a very quick look at two very common sets of cliches that we have in movies. Unfortunately, they're still with us, but hey, you've got to take the rough with the smooth in movies, don't you? Okay, now there's other technology that has caused cliches too, and I'll look at those in another episode of the Dark Realm Diaries. Maybe we'll look at computers and how that set up a series of cliches. Okay, what other cliches can you think of that really maybe annoy you or make you laugh? Let me know in the comments below, okay? And don't forget to subscribe to us for more great videos, not just about Hollywood, but myths and legends from around the world, vampires, werewolves, all the dark stuff we love doing here on the Dark Realm Diaries. So until next time, this is Michael J. Elliott signing off for you, and remember what I always say, keep in the light, Dark Realmers.